What if your fish has been quietly building memories of you this whole time, and you had no idea? Not just food comes from that direction memories, actual detailed, specific, lasting memories of your face, your routine, your hands, and even the emotional tone of how you treat them. Most people look at a fish tank and see something pretty to glance at. But the science on fish cognition has been moving fast, and what researchers are finding is genuinely hard to believe until you see the studies. So in this video, we're going through 7 real memories your fish has of you, based on actual research, and one of them is going to completely change how you think about what's happening inside that glass. I've spent time going through the studies so you don't have to, and by the end of this, you'll probably want to go look at your tank differently. Let's start with something that surprises almost everyone. Your fish knows your face, not your outline, not your general shape, your actual face. Archerfish, which are a common aquarium species, were trained in laboratory experiments to spit water at a specific human face shown to them in a photograph. Then researchers swapped in up to 44 new faces and controlled for things like hairstyle, head shape, and brightness so the fish couldn't cheat. The fish still picked the correct face with remarkable accuracy. That's face recognition, in a fish, under controlled conditions. And it gets more personal than that, because studies on common aquarium fish show they consistently swim toward their regular caregiver and react far less to strangers approaching the glass. This isn't random excitement at movement. Your fish has been building a profile of you. Every time you walk into the room, every time you reach for the food container at the same hour, your fish is updating that profile and predicting what comes next. The part most owners miss is that their fish is ready to recognize so much more than just the feeding hand. But nobody ever gives them the chance. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because recognizing your face is just the beginning of what your fish is tracking. Your fish also remembers your schedule, not in a vague general way, in a specific time-stamped way. Fish cognition research shows that many species rely on learning and memory to anticipate events, and when you combine that with circadian feeding studies, what you get is a fish that has learned the exact daily window when you usually approach the tank. They're not just reacting when you show up, they're expecting you before you get there. That's why you'll often see fish hovering near the feeding spot a few minutes before you even walk in. They built that schedule from memory, from watching you, from the repeated pattern of your presence. And if you've ever changed your routine and noticed your fish acting confused or off, that's why. You disrupted a memory they'd been reinforcing for weeks. So your fish knows your face and it knows your schedule. But what about the moments that weren't so calm? This is the one that most people don't expect. Stressful handling sessions, netting, chasing, moving fish between tanks. Those don't just stress your fish out in the moment. They become some of the most persistent memories your fish forms of you. African cichlids exposed to net-chasing stress remembered trained tasks for up to 48 days afterward. And wild cleaner fish that were captured with a net avoided that same capture method for up to 11 months, hiding whenever the net appeared but re-emerging when only divers were present. 11 months. That's almost a year of your fish carrying a vivid memory of being caught by your gear. So if your fish darts away every time you put your hand in the tank or hides when you bring out the siphon, that's not a personality quirk. That's a memory. A specific, durable, emotionally loaded memory of something stressful that happened with you. The good news is, the same memory system works in reverse. Positive, calm interactions build just as lasting an impression. Now, before we get to the one that's genuinely going to shock you, I want to mention something real quick. I'm doing $100 in Amazon gift card giveaways to celebrate when this channel hits 1,000 subscribers. If you want to follow the journey or be in the running for the winner announcement, hype the video, subscribe, and drop a comment. I'll randomly pick a winner once we hit the milestone. Okay, back to your fish. Here's something that changes how you think about tank design entirely. Your fish has a mental map of the space you built for them, and they remember it in detail. Research shows that fish build spatial maps using environmental cues that let them relocate feeding sites, safe hiding spots, and familiar routes. Your fish remembers which rock you always lift when you siphon, which cave stays undisturbed, and where the safe zones are relative to where you usually appear. But it goes even deeper than that, because studies on tambaki fish kept for 192 days found that fish in enriched tanks, ones with plants, toys, and varied current, develop more brain cells in the learning and memory regions of the brain, and showed distinct gene expression patterns compared to fish in bare tanks. Your fish literally forms richer, more complex neural memories in a stimulating environment than in a minimalist one. So the tank you built isn't just decoration. It's the physical structure of how rich or how thin your fish's inner world is. That's a lot of responsibility packed into a glass box. And that connects directly to something most fish owners never think about. Your fish doesn't just remember where things are in the tank. It remembers what you did there, when you did it, and under what conditions. Zebrafish in episodic-like memory tests were able to remember what object they encountered, where in the tank it was placed, and in which specific context it appeared, like different wall colors signaling different setups. That's what researchers call what, where, and when memory, and it's the same basic structure as human episodic memory. So when you rearranged your aquascape last month or added a new decoration, your fish encoded that as an event. They remember the before and the after. They notice when things change, and they update their mental map accordingly. You're not just maintaining a tank. You're continuously shaping a living memory palace that your fish navigates every single day. But here's the one that's going to stick with you. Your fish might recognize itself in a mirror. Cleaner rasa, a species you can actually keep in a reef tank, not only passed the mirror self-recognition test, which even some mammals fail, but they went further. When researchers marked the fish with a colored spot visible only in their reflection, the fish tried to scrape the mark off their own body after seeing it in the mirror. They connected the reflection to themselves. Then, in follow-up experiments, these fish would pick up small shrimp pieces and deliberately drop them near the mirror, watching both the real and reflected movement, touching the glass, testing what was real and what was reflection. They were running experiments on the world you built for them, and in another study, they visited mirrors to compare their own body size to other fish before deciding whether to engage in a conflict, using the mirror as a tool for self-assessment. If you've ever put a mirror near your tank as enrichment, your fish wasn't just reacting to another fish. In some species, they were looking at themselves, forming a memory of their own body, and using that information to make decisions. That's not instinct. That's something much closer to what we'd call inner life. So let's pull this all together, because there's a thread running through all 7 of these that matters. Your fish remembers your face and can pick it out from dozens of others. It knows your schedule and anticipates your arrival. It carries emotional memories of stressful handling sessions for up to nearly a year. It has a detailed spatial map of every corner of the tank you designed. It encodes events, what happened, where, and when, like chapters in a memory. It builds richer neural architecture in enriched environments, which means your care style literally shapes the physical structure of its brain. And in some species, it recognizes itself in a mirror and uses that reflection as a tool for understanding the world. When you walked into this video, you probably thought of your fish as a pet that responds to feeding time. What the research is actually showing is an animal with a working memory system, emotional responses, individual recognition, spatial intelligence, and in some cases, something that looks a lot like self-awareness. You're not just keeping a fish, you're sharing a space with something that is actively building a memory of you. And whether that memory is rich or thin, safe or stressful, interesting or dull, that's entirely up to you. If this changed how you think about your tank, share it with someone who keeps fish, because most fish owners have no idea any of this is happening. And if you want to go deeper on fish psychology and what you can actually do to improve your fish's inner world, the next video is right there. I'll see you in it.